Hello, everybody. Welcome to Meet the Expert. And today I am talking to Sarah Boccuzzi. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. You have a very interesting journey with plant-based, and we're going to be talking about that, and we're also going to be talking about what you're currently doing, because it's very exciting what has happened in your world, in the world of Thermomixes. So, but what I would really want to know is your journey. How did you kind of find yourself looking at plants?
Okay, Nick. So shall I go back right from the very beginning with my story of, how I started on my health journey?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, fabulous. So hi, everyone. I am Sarah, and I'm really excited to be sharing today with the interview with Nick. So I started, probably going back over 25 years ago. So when I started my working career, I was a hairdresser. And I was obviously exposed to a lot of chemicals throughout that, time of my life. And then when I was thinking about having, my first child, I was, suffering a few health conditions. So my skin was starting to break down, dermatitis and eczema and those sorts of types of things, which instead of, going to a doctor, which I had done to get, steroid creams and antibiotics, which were making my skin go quite thin, I thought there has to be another way. So I did seek out the help and thought, well, I'll go to a naturopath. And that's where I actually decided that I would get my gut cleaned up, and I changed my diet and started to eliminate, wheat, gluten, and all of those things. And I also wanted to get healthier pre-pregnancy as well. So that's where I started before the birth of Chelsea, who's now just turning 25 this year. Or no, is she already 25? When you have 4 children, you can't remember how old they are, but she's close to that.
I'm the same with my 4. I kind of had to go, have to go backwards. Oh, if I'm 58 this year, that means she must be 28, and
Exactly.
Yeah. So what did you find? Where did you go?
So what I found was that, by, doing that and being under the care of my naturopath, by eliminating, meat, dairy, alcohol, a lot of sugars, and eating predominantly plant-based, well, I lost weight, which wasn't the goal, but it happened. I felt better. I felt my energy levels, increase. And of course, I was glowing from the inside out. And, over time, all of those skin conditions went away. So that's sort of where I, ended up staying. So for the last, 25 years of my life, I've been, in and out of plant-based, and having a father that passed away with motor neurone disease when I was 16. And back then there was really very little known about it, back in the late 80s. And then mum being diagnosed with an incurable type of liver cancer, I thought, for me being quite a young person, prevention's got to be better than cure. So if I don't look after myself and, keep myself as healthy as possible, where could I be heading, with my parents both passing away at quite a young age?
Totally. That is so good that you kind of, became proactive. But I just want to go back and reiterate something that you said. You were suffering with all of these skin conditions, and when you changed your diet, they got better.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like time and time again, there is this disconnect that we have between what we put in our mouth and our health. And I know
absolutely
it sounds silly because you kind of go, oh, duh, but we often don't realise that. And I think especially with, once we hit this stage of life, both of us, being in that menopausal phase,
yes,
not through it myself, is that we totally, we don't understand, and that, because it's not common knowledge, that, you know, what we eat is actually going to affect our menopause journey. And we're talking reducing hot flushes, sleeping better, more energy, you know, all of those symptoms are helped when we, you know, eat better. And, you know, you and I both know that that means, you know, eating more plants. And, you know, I have to say as well, I'm not sure whether you've heard me say this, because I say it at every opportunity. I listened to Professor Susan Davis, who's an endocrinologist in Australia. She got an Order of Australia. She's been studying menopause her whole life. And there was a 2.5-hour interview. And at the 2-hour mark, the interviewer said, "So, Susan, if you could wave a magic wand that would help every single woman going through menopause, what would it be?" And she kind of took a deep breath and she said, "Well, it's not necessarily politically correct." She said, "But the research shows over and over again that women who are at a healthy weight do better." So,
wow.
less, you know, less hot flushes, less severity, you know, just the whole kit and caboodle. So, you know, when we talk about, you know, being healthy and being at a healthy weight, it's not for aesthetics. Do you know what I mean? Yes,
No.
it's nice to feel comfortable in your clothes, but there's more going on than that. You know, our fat cells are little hormone-making factories, and they push out estrogen and they push out inflammatory cytokines. So it really is worth, you know, embarking on this journey for so many reasons.
Totally, Nick. I'm with you 100%. And I love how passionate you are, because I've felt the difference myself. So I'm totally on board with that for sure. And especially now being in that very more menopausal phase of life. I know how different I feel when I go 100% plant-based. I don't have any of those menopausal symptoms at all, like no hot flushes. I sleep like a log. You know, just my energy levels are great, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I can honestly say that probably when I first started my menopause journey, I wasn't 100% plant-based. And I did get, I used to call them my cute little hot spells, and get some of those. And these days, I don't know, sometimes I just might feel a little bit warmer, but it's nothing to write home about. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's so minor. Now, I want to go back to something that you were talking about before we turned on the record, because I just think that what you were saying was so practical for everybody out there. Many times when, you know, we can think, oh, you know, it's too hard to do what Nicole's talking about because, you know, I don't think that's for me, going 100% plant-based or, you know, vegan. And what I like to say is that you don't need to. You know, everyone is individual. And yes, there might be very good reasons why it might be worth doing an experiment, meaning for 4 to 6 weeks, you know, we do take you on a journey so that you are 100% plant-based, just to see if that helps with your particular symptoms. However, you know, the research, the Blue Zone studies show us that really we don't need to be 100%, but we do all need to be eating more plants, which is fruit, vegetables, whole grains, beans and lentils, and some healthy fats. Yeah. Just in case anyone listening thinks that just means eating more vegetables. No, a bit bigger than that. So, and you were talking about what you did when your children were growing up, and I loved you. Go into exactly that detail, because I think that's super helpful for people listening.
Yeah, great. Oh, look, I just thought, you know, biggest people bugbear that I hear in the work that I do now is that, you know, how do I get kids to eat more veggies, and, you know, hiding them to make them, you know, more palatable. But what I find that does is, over time, the more they get used to the taste, then they're more likely to try the veggie on their own. So if I was making, you know, a bolognese, for example, I'd start to reduce the amount of meat. So instead of just making bolognese with, you know, 600 or 800 grams of mince and adding mushrooms and tomatoes and onions to it, I'd start to reduce the amount of meat, perhaps down to around about 200 grams, but the rest of it would become, you know, chopped zucchini, onion, carrot, fresh herbs from the garden, and potentially a tin of lentils to actually break the mince down, and make it go a lot further, and actually becomes, like in today's society that we're in, with food becoming so expensive as well, it also starts to become a lot easier on the pocket. And I would be doing the same thing with sausage rolls. So one of the recipes that I share, and I love that you're a foodie too, but whenever I make, burgers for the kids, and I still make them exactly the same way today, is I put beetroot in them. So they like my pink, burger patties with the, beetroot, carrot, and, half an apple if they like a bit of sweetness. We don't need to add sugar, but quite often we can introduce those fruits to actually add that little bit of sweetness that they might be looking for as well. So
yeah. Oh, I totally agree. That's just, I love it.
Yeah, and using almond meal as your binder instead of, like so many eggs and things like that. There's just so many little things that we can do day to day to incorporate more plant-based protein.
Yeah. And it's cheaper. I think sometimes we think, oh no, it's too expensive. Well, what's expensive is the same things in the meat world that are expensive, and that's the processed products. And they're the ones that we don't want to be eating anyway, or
exactly.
it's the sweet treats. Well, we don't need to be eating, bliss balls all the time.
No.
So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And that's exactly where I like to start my clients, adding the lentils to the spaghetti bolognese, adding the chickpeas to, curries and casseroles, and just anywhere we can, increasing the amount of vegetables. It was why I created that whole series on 10 different vegetables, just to give people ideas on, how to make cauliflower rice and cauliflower steaks and, all those sorts of different things. And it gets us thinking outside the old steamed vegetable box.
It sure does. And I love that, that when it's so tasty, you don't feel like you're missing out on having any of those other things. And the best thing is, after you've eaten, your digestive system's so happy.
Yeah.
You feel so much better because your body's not trying to work so hard, breaking all of those other things down as well.
Yeah, I agree. And what we have to talk about now is, I'm so excited because secretly I have been very resistant to Thermomixes. And if people would ask me and they would say, oh, do you recommend them? And I'd go, oh, look, they're good for bliss balls. And, but in actual fact, what I didn't like is that, because I use my food processor so much, because I was always grating things, slicing things. And mostly I use a mandolin, actually.
Yep.
Love my mandolin. I don't even have to, because there's no electricity required.
Yep.
Tell us about what is new in the Thermomix world.
Oh, look, there's so much that's new in the thermo world. So I was first introduced to Thermomix nearly 12 years ago, and I got one because I was basically hiding all of those chopped veggies in my meals, and that's how it started. In 2017, for me, when they changed up the Thermomix they developed an online global digital recipe platform called Cook I Do. And looking for inspiration, I think as a mum, as a parent, just trying to feed yourself, it's hard work going, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat today? And this is where I love, that you provide your clients with the food plan, because that takes, half of people's problems away by just implementing that right there. So I then was introduced to, I got my next model of Thermomix in 2017 when Cookie Do was introduced. And what it did was it made it easier for people with dietary requirements. So instead of people having to look in all different communities and places for gluten-free recipes or, grain-free recipes or meat-free recipes, there's this great platform, I guess, where you can meal plan, have all of the nutrition, the carb content. Literally, if you've got a veggie that you need to finish up, you can, type the ingredient in and find recipes that contain that ingredient. And it just became this whole change to my world at your fingertips. So if I feel like something plant-based today, because all the recipes are tagged, I literally walk up to my Thermomix and type in plant-based or vegan or whatever, and it appears at my fingertips, and then I can drop it into my weekly planner, do my online shop, and it's just like a massive exciting jump to, you know, making healthy easy and simple. So, and then of course, as I know you're excited with the new attachment, which just has been released from France, and it's just arrived in Australia, is the new cutter. So what I love about the cutter is that, you know, I can coarsely grate my vegetables and that I want to ferment. I can slice fruits, I can do my prep for salads, and it literally just zhushes through in absolutely seconds. It actually takes longer for the machine to open the arms than it does to shred and slice, you know, all of your veggies. So one of the first things I did when I got my cutter was I thought, oh, it's experiment time. So we love as a family fried rice. So I shredded capsicum, onions, you know, mushrooms, loads and loads and loads of cabbage. And because we don't like to eat too many grains, but we still do have our grains, I had about, you know, probably 250 grams or just over a cup of cooked rice. But I cooked up all these veggies and made this massive vegetable, you know, fried rice. And I thought that is just a massive dish, and it's, you know, packed full of goodness. And the shredder just made dinner happen, you know, really in minutes, you know, in less than 30 minutes. And a common thing that I hear when I'm working in the field is that a lot of people, their goal to have a meal on the table is 30 minutes or less. And that's me too. So that's what I try and achieve in my daily kitchen, is try and achieve meals on the table, including the prep, in 30 minutes or less.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, for me, that would open up a whole new world, because I'm not in that world. I always like prep, spend some time prepping every weekend and making my meals in advance, because I just think I hate cooking if I arrive at a meal time and there's nothing prepped and I'm hungry. Like, seriously, it just steals the joy, doesn't it? You know?
Sure does.
But if you can walk into the kitchen and know all you have to do is heat something up, or you've half done it, you know, or like you're saying, you're presenting here a totally different side here, where actually you can walk into the kitchen and know within half an hour you'll be eating. Now, that's pretty amazing.
For me, I find it quite therapeutic cooking. Not everyone likes cooking. I totally get that. But at dinner time, I know that I like to eat fresh, because I always have in my mind, you know, fresh is best. So if I can go out to the garden and grab a handful of herbs and, you know, pop them into my dinner and make them happen in that time frame. If I was busy working, you know, full time, and, you know, maybe food wasn't my business, I would probably have to be a little bit more organized. But I love what you mentioned before about the food processors, because obviously I was a food processor girl before you know, I got Thermomix in my kitchen, and I had several food processors and absolutely loved them. But because I loved them so much, I kept breaking them, because I'd be grating so many veggies. I'd be, you know, making nut meals and, you know, making all of those really healthy things. And I thought, no, there has to be a better way. So wherever I would, you know, clip the handle into the, you know, processor, I would always find that part would break first. So just not wanting to have to keep throwing appliances away, or, you know, if replacement parts weren't accessible, having everything happening in my stainless steel jug on the Thermomix that was very robust and built to last, for me has been, I've still got that original Thermomix that I bought, you know, 12 years ago, and it's still going strong.
Yeah. Well,
and of course the new ones now, I'm in the business, which give you the benefit of the online cooking and, you know, having everything at your fingertips, including being able to drop all those ingredients into the shopping cart from the Thermomix and then check out and pay for something, and have it delivered to your door, is just, you know, makes healthy so convenient.
That's right. I totally forgot about that part. That's just amazing, because I always say to my clients, you know, if click and collect had been around in my day, I definitely would have been doing it, you know, because I shopped to a menu, had a 3-week cyclic menu plan, shopped to the menu, shopped once a week only, And yeah, we'd go home and do a couple of hours of prep. But these days, Thermomix has made it so much easier.
They sure have. And look, I still love going to the greengrocers as well, and, you know, smelling the produce to see how much flavor it's got and doing all of those things. But, you know, sometimes it's just super convenient as well to be able to go, well, I just need to order these staples, or I want a meal plan this week because I want my shopping budget to be, you know, this amount of money. And I love that you can sort of have meat-free Monday and do a lentil bolognese, and you might do, you know, taco Tuesday or whatever you're doing, and be able to put those all into the planner and be able to get a dollar figure or a dollar value before you actually check out and pay. So if you need to swap out a meal for, you know, something that's a little bit more cost effective, then you can. And of course you can factor in all of your homemade snacks as well. So your dips, you know, your crackers, and do your meal prep for those. So when I'm hungry, I find I have, you know, some of my meal prep done. So I make my homemade, you know, gluten-free crackers and have a dip or something made, so that I've got my veggie sticks and my crackers and something healthy to snack on if I get caught out without food.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I always say, you know, if those carrots, if they're cut up and ready in the fridge, we'll eat them. But,
yeah, definitely.
And I pretty much always have a hummus on the go as well, you know, whether it's normal or pumped beetroot or whatever, because it's just such a great snack to, you know, to go to. So, yeah, so exciting. Thank you, Sarah.
I know. Well, I just love what you do. So you know, it's been an absolute pleasure, Nick, chatting with you. And I hope I've inspired, you know, some of your community to, if they've got a Thermomix in their kitchen, maybe get it out of their cupboard and dust it off and get cooking with it. And, you know, if they need any help or support, obviously they've got a very passionate foodie that they can reach out to as well.
Yes, and I will put all of your details in the description below, so that you can go and check out Sarah and follow her and get inspired. I agree. You know, there's no use having an appliance unless, you know, you get the full value. And, you know, I mean, Thermomixes, we acknowledge, are not cheap. But I think that, you know, if you learn how to, you know, use it to its, you know, its capacity, then you're going to find out, you know, that it's just so time saving. And I did not know that either, that you could actually have a dollar value. And yeah, I mean, that would just be so much help, so helpful to so many people. So yeah, thanks.
Definitely. Well, thank you.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Did you want to leave anyone with, you know, one last comment? Sorry, I put you on the spot there.
Oh gosh, no, you have put me on the spot. Look, something that has come into my mind, and I guess it's something that my children have always said to me, you know, when they've gone to school over the years, that XYZ person's got this in their lunchbox, or he has, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, we only get dead food from a packet. So, you know, if you really want to be eating, you know, good, healthy food, you know, sometimes convenience, you know, is really, you know, the way that food producers have produced our food has really shaped the way that we eat today. So just think about how, if you are having anything that's packaged or processed, you know, when you run out the door, you know, switching it with something that's a piece of fruit, or a vegetable, or maybe a handful of nuts, and just make those small changes and start with something small, and then it turns into, you know, something that becomes really achievable. So not trying to change everything at once would probably be my biggest tip.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. I think it can feel overwhelming for people. And, you know, if you're eating takeaway every night, just start with making one home-cooked meal a week. You know, just those baby steps, I think are what, you know, is doable. Do what, you know, just start with one step that you find that you can do and carry on doing. So, yeah, I love that. And I love that, yeah, anything out of a packet is dead. It kind of is.
Yeah, sure is. Unless it's nuts, of course.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. And yeah, all the details will be below. And we hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much.